Namaste. Mastery of Love by Miguel Ruiz. Chapter 2. The Loss of Innocence. Humans, by nature, are very sensitive beings. We are so emotional because we perceive everything with the emotional body. The emotional body is like a radio that can be tuned to perceive certain frequencies or to react to certain frequencies. The normal frequency of humans before domestication is to explore and to enjoy life. We are tuned to love. As children, we don't have any definition of love as an abstract concept. We just live love. It's the way we are. The emotional body has a component, like an alarm system, to let us know when something is wrong. It is the same with the physical body. It has an alarm system to let us know something is wrong with our body. We call this pain. When we feel pain, it is because there is something wrong with the body that we have to look at and fix. The alarm system for the emotional body is fear. When we feel fear, it's because there is something wrong. Perhaps we are in danger of losing our life. The emotional body perceives emotions, but not through the eyes. We perceive emotions through our emotional body. Children just feel emotions and their reasoning mind doesn't interpret or question them. This is why children accept certain people and reject other people. When they don't feel confident around someone, they reject that person because they can feel the emotions that person is projecting. Children can easily perceive when someone is angry, and their alarm system generates a little fear that says, "Stay away." And they follow their instinct. They stay away. We learn to be emotional according to the emotional energy in our home and our personal reaction to that energy. This is why every brother and sister will react differently according to how they learn to defend themselves and adapt to different circumstances. When our parents are constantly fighting, when there is disharmony, disrespect, and lies, we learn the emotional way of being like them. Even if they tell us not to be that way and not to lie. The emotional energy of our parents, of our entire family, will make us perceive the world in a similar way. The emotional energy that lives in our home is going to tune our emotional body to that frequency. The emotional body starts to change its tune, and it is no longer the normal tune of the human being. We play the game of the adults. We play the game of the outside dream, and we lose. We lose our innocence. We lose our freedom. We lose our happiness, and we lose our tendency to love. We are forced to change, and we start perceiving another world, another reality. The reality of injustice, the reality of emotional pain, the reality of emotional poison. Welcome to hell, the hell that humans create, which is the dream of the planet. We are welcomed into that hell, but we don't invent it personally. It was here before we were born. You can see how real love and freedom are destroyed by looking at children. Imagine a child, 2 or 3 years old, running and having fun in the park. Mum is there watching the little guy, and she's afraid he might fall and hurt himself. At a certain point, she wants him to stop, and the child thinks, "Mum is playing with me," so he tries to run faster from her. Cars are passing in the street nearby, which makes Mum even more afraid, and finally she catches him. The child is expecting her to play, but she spanks him. Boom! It's a shock. The child's happiness was the expression of love coming out of him, and he does not understand why she is acting this way. This is a shock that stops love little by little over time. The child does not understand words, but even so, he can question, why? Running and playing is an expression of love, but it's no longer safe because your parents punish you when you express your love. They send you to your room and you cannot do what you want to do. They tell you that you are being a bad boy or a bad girl, and that puts you down. That means punishment. In that system of reward and punishment, there is a sense of justice and injustice. What is fair and what is not fair. The sense of injustice is like a knife that opens an emotional wound in the mind. Then, according to our reaction to the injustice, the wound may get infected with emotional poison. Why do some wounds get infected? Let's look at another example. Imagine that you are 2 or 3 years old. You are happy, you are playing, you are exploring. You aren't conscious of what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, because you are not yet domesticated. You are playing in the living room with whatever is around you. You don't have any bad intention. You don't try to hurt anything, but you are playing with your daddy's guitar. For you, it's just a toy. You don't try to hurt your daddy at all. But your father is having one of those days when he doesn't feel right. He has problems in his business and he goes into the living room and finds you playing with his things. He gets mad right away and he grabs you and spanks you. This is injustice from your point of view. Your father just comes in and with anger he hurts you. This was someone you trusted completely because he is your daddy, someone who usually protects you and allows you to play and allows you to be you. Now there is something that doesn't quite fit. That sense of injustice is like a pain in your heart. You feel sensitive, it hurts and it makes you cry. But you cry not just because he spanks you. It's not just the physical aggression that hurts you. It's the emotional aggression you feel is not fair. You didn't do anything. That sense of injustice opens a wound in your mind. Your emotional body is wounded, and in that moment you lose a little part of your innocence. You learn that you cannot always trust your father, even if your mind doesn't know that yet, because your mind doesn't analyze, it still understands. I cannot trust. Your emotional body tells you there is something that you cannot trust, and that something can be repeated. Your reaction might be fear. Your reaction might be anger or being shy or just crying. But that reaction is already emotional poison, because the normal reaction before domestication is that your daddy spanks you and you want to hit him back. You hit him back, or just intend to put your hand up, and that makes your father even madder at you. The reaction of your father for just putting your hand up against him creates a worse punishment. Now you know he will destroy you. Now you are afraid of him and you no longer defend yourself because you know it will only make things worse. You still don't understand why, but you know your father can even kill you. This opens a fierce wound in your mind. Before this, your mind was completely healthy. You were completely innocent. After this, the reasoning mind tries to do something with the experience. You learn to react in a certain way, your personal way. You keep that emotion with you and it changes your way of life. This experience will repeat itself more often now. The injustice will come from mum and dad, from brothers and sisters, from aunts and uncles, from the school, from society, from everyone. With each fear, you learn to defend yourself, but not the way you did before domestication, when you would defend yourself and just keep playing. Now, there is something inside the wound that at first is not a big problem. Emotional poison. The emotional poison accumulates and the mind begins to play with that poison. Now we start to worry a little about the future because we have the memory of the poison and we don't want that to happen again. We also have memories of being accepted. We remember mum and dad being good to us and living in harmony. We want the harmony, but we don't want how to create it. And because we are inside the bubble of our own perception, whatever happens around us now seems as if it is because of us. We believe mum and dad fight because of us, even if it doesn't have anything to do with us. Little by little, we lose our innocence. We start to feel resentment. Then we no longer forgive. Over time, these incidences incidents and interactions let us know how it's not safe to be who we really are. Of course, this will vary in intensity with each human according to his intelligence and his education. It will depend on many things. If you are lucky, the domestication is not that strong. But if you are not so lucky, the domestication can be so strong that the wounds are so deep that you can even be afraid to speak. The result is, oh, I am shy. Shyness is the fear of expressing yourself. You may believe you don't know how to dance or how to sing, but this is just repression of the normal human instinct to express love. Humans use fear to domesticate humans, and our fear increases with each experience of injustice. The sense of injustice is the knife that opens a wound in our emotional body. Emotional poison is created by our reaction to what we consider injustice. Some wounds will heal, others will become infected with more and more poison. Once we are full of emotional poison, we have the need to release it, and we practice releasing the poison by sending it to someone else. How do we do this? By hooking that person's attention. Let's take an example of an ordinary couple. For whatever reason, the wife is mad. She has a lot of emotional poison from an injustice that comes from her husband. The husband is not home, but she remembers that injustice and the poison is growing inside. When the husband comes home, the first thing she wants to do is hook his attention, because once she hooks his attention, all the poison can go to her husband and she can feel the relief. As soon as she tells him how bad he is, how stupid or how unfair he is, that poison she has inside her is transferred to the husband. She keeps talking and talking until she gets his attention. The husband finally reacts and gets mad, and she feels better. But now the poison is going through him, and he has to get even. He has to hook her attention and release the poison. But it's not just her poison, it's her poison plus his poison. If you look at this interaction, you will see that they are touching each other's wounds and playing ping pong with emotional poison. The poison keeps growing and growing until someday one of them is going to explode. And this is often how humans relate with each other. Ping pong's the best exercise for the brain, for using multiple parts of the brain. By hooking the attention, the energy goes from one person to another person. The attention is something very powerful in the human mind. Everyone around the world is hunting the attention of others all the time. When we capture the attention, we create channels of communication. The dream is transferred, power is transferred, but emotional poison is transferred also. Usually we release the poison with the person we think is responsible for the injustice. But if that person is so powerful that we cannot send it to him, we don't care who we send it to. We send it to the little ones who have no defense against us, and that is how abusive relationships are formed. The people of power abuse the people who have less power because they need to release their emotional poison. We have the need to release the poison, and sometimes we don't want justice, we just want to release. We want peace. That is why humans are hunting power all the time, because the more powerful we are, the easier it is to release the poison to the ones who cannot defend themselves. Of course, we are talking about relationships in hell. We are talking about the mental disease that exists on this planet. There is no one to blame for this disease. It is not good or bad or right or wrong. It is simply the normal pathology of this disease. No one is guilty for being abusive, just as people on that imaginary planet are not guilty because their skin is sick. You are not guilty because you have wounds infected with poison. When you are physically sick or injured, you don't blame yourself or feel guilty. Then why feel bad or feel guilty because your emotional body is sick? What is important is to have the awareness that we have this problem. If we have the awareness, we have the opportunity to heal our emotional body, our emotional mind, and stop the suffering. Without the awareness, there is nothing we can do. The only thing we can do is to keep suffering from the interaction with other humans. But not just with other humans, the interaction with our own self, because we also touch our own wounds just to be punished. In our mind, we create that part of us that is always judging. The judge is judging everything we do, everything we don't do. everything we feel, everything we don't feel. We are judging ourselves all the time, and we are judging everyone else all the time, based on what we believe and based on the sense of justice and injustice. Of course, we find ourselves guilty and we need to be punished. The other part of our mind that receives the judgment and has the need to be punished is the victim. That part of us says, poor me, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not intelligent enough, why should I try? When you were a child, you could not choose what to believe and what not to believe. The judge and the victim are based on all of those false beliefs you didn't choose. When that information went into your mind, you were innocent. You believed everything. The belief system was put inside you like a program by the outside dream. The Toltecs call this program the parasite. The human mind is sick because it has a parasite that steals its vital energy and robs it of joy. The parasite is all those beliefs that make you suffer. Those beliefs are so strong that years later, when you learn new concepts and try to make your own decisions, you find those beliefs still control your life. Sometimes the little child inside you comes out, the real you that stays at the age of 2 or 3 years old. You are living in the moment and having fun, but there is something pulling you back. Something inside feels unworthy of having too much fun. And then a voice tells you that your happiness is too good to be true. It isn't right to be too happy. All the guilt, all the blame, all the emotional poison in your emotional body keeps pulling you back into the world of drama. The parasite spreads like a disease from our grandparents to our parents to ourselves, and then we give it to our children. We put all those programs inside our children the same way we train a dog. Humans are domesticated animals, and this domestication leads us to the dream of hell, where we live in fear. The food for the parasite is the emotions that come from fear. Before we get the parasite, we enjoy life, we play, we're happy like little children. But after all that garbage is put into our minds, we are no longer happy. We learn to be right and to make everyone else wrong. The need to be right is the result of trying to protect the image we want to project to the outside world. We have to impose our way of thinking, not just onto other humans, but even upon ourselves. With awareness, we can easily understand why relationships don't work. With our parents, with our children, with our friends, with our partner, and even with ourselves. Why doesn't the relationship with ourselves work? Because we are wounded, and we have all that emotional poison that we can hardly handle. We are full of poison because we grew up with an image of perfection that is not true, which does not exist, and in our mind it isn't fair. We have seen how we create that image of perfection to please other people, even though they create their own dream that has nothing to do with us. We try to please mum and dad. We try to please our teacher, our minister, our religion, and God. But the truth is that from their point of view, we are never going to be perfect. That image of perfection tells us how we should be in order to acknowledge that we are good, in order to accept ourselves. But guess what? This is the biggest lie we believe about ourselves. Because we are never going to be perfect. And there is no way that we can forgive ourselves for not being perfect. That image of perfection changes the way we dream. We learn to deny ourselves and reject ourselves. We are never good enough or right enough or clean enough or healthy enough according to all those beliefs we have. There is always something the judge can never accept or forgive. That is why we reject our own humanity. That is why we never deserve to be happy. That is why we are searching for someone who abuses us, someone who will punish us. We have a very high level of self-abuse because of that image of perfection. When we reject ourselves and judge ourselves and find ourselves guilty and punish ourselves so much, it looks like there is no love. It looks like there is only punishment, only suffering, only judgment in this world. Hell has many different levels. Some people are very deep in hell and other people are hardly in hell, but still they are in hell. There are very abusive relationships in hell and relationships with hardly any abuse. You are no longer a child, and if you have an abusive relationship, it is because you accept that abuse, because you believe you deserve it. You have a limit to the amount of abuse you will accept, but no one in the world abuses you more than you abuse yourself. The limit of your self-abuse is the limit you tolerate from other people. If someone abuses you more than you abuse yourself, you walk away, you run, you escape. But if someone abuses you a little less than you abuse yourself, perhaps you stay longer. You still deserve that abuse. Usually in a normal relationship in hell, it's about payment for an injustice. It's about getting even. I abuse you the way you need to be abused, and you abuse me the way I need to be abused. We have a good equilibrium. It works. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who are we to disagree? I like that song. That's got those words in it, hasn't it? Shh. Of course, energy attracts the same kind of energy, the same vibration. If someone comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm so abused," and you ask, "Well, why do you stay there?" He doesn't even know why. The truth is, he needs that abuse because that is the way he punishes himself. Life brings to you exactly what you need. There is perfect justice in hell. There is nothing to blame. We can even say that our suffering is a gift if you just open your eyes and see what is around you. It's exactly what you need to clean your poison, to heal your wounds, to accept yourself, and to get out of hell. The man who didn't believe in love. I want to tell you a very old story about the man who didn't believe in love. This was an ordinary man just like you and me. But what made this man special was his way of thinking. He thought love doesn't exist. Of course, he had a lot of experience trying to find love, and he had observed the people around him. Much of his life had been spent searching for love, only to find that love didn't exist. Wherever this man went, he used to tell people that love is nothing but an invention of the poets, an invention of religions just to manipulate the weak mind of humans, to have control over humans, to make them believe. He said that love is not real, and that's why no human could ever find love, even though he might look for it. This man was highly intelligent, and he was very convincing. He had read a lot of books, he went to the best universities, and he became a respected scholar. He could stand in any public place in front of any kind of people, and his logic was very strong. What he said was that love is just like a drug. It makes you very high, but it creates a strong need. You can become highly addicted to love, but what happens when you don't receive your daily dose of love? Just like a drug, you need your everyday doses. He used to say that the most relationships between lovers are just like relationships between a drug addict and the one who provides the drugs. I need to plug in the battery. You just got to do the other plug, that won't reach. Apologies for that. The one who has the biggest need is like the drug addict. The one who has a little need is like the provider. The one who has the little need is the one who controls the whole relationship. You can see this dynamic so clearly because usually in every relationship there is one who loves the most and the other who doesn't love, who only takes advantage of the one who gives his or her heart. You can see the way they manipulate each other, their actions and reactions, and they are just like the provider and the drug addict. The drug addict, the one who has the biggest need, lives in constant fear that perhaps he will not be able to get the next dosage of love or the drug. The drug addict thinks, what am I going to do if she leaves me? That fear makes the drug addict very possessive. That's mine. The addict becomes jealous and demanding because the fear of not having the next dosage. The provider can control and manipulate the one who needs the drug by giving more doses, fewer doses, or no doses at all. The one who has the biggest need completely surrenders and will do whatever he can to avoid being abandoned. The man went on explaining to everyone why love doesn't exist. What humans call love is nothing but a fear relationship based on control. Where is the respect? Where is the love they claim to have? There is no love. Young couples in front of the representation of God, in front of their family and friends, make a lot of promises to each other, to live together forever, to love and respect each other, to be there for each other, through the good times and the bad times. They promise to love and honour each other and make promises and more promises. What is amazing is that they really believe these promises. But after the marriage, 1 week later, 1 month later, a few months later, you can see that none of these promises are kept. What you find is a war of control to see who will manipulate whom, who will be the provider, and who will have the addiction. You find that a few months later, the respect they swear to have for each other is gone. You can see the resentment, the emotional poison, how they hurt each other little by little, and it grows and grows until they don't know when the love stops. They stay together because they are afraid to be alone, afraid of the opinions and judgments of others, and also afraid of their own judgments and opinions. But where is the love? He used to claim that he saw many old couples that had lived together 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and they were so proud to have lived together all those years. But when they talked about their relationship, what they said was, "We survived the matrimony." That means one of them surrendered to the other. At a certain time, she gave up and decided to endure the suffering. The one with the strongest will and less need won the war. But where is that flame they call love? They treat each other like a possession. She is mine, he is mine. The man went on and on about all the reasons why he believed love doesn't exist, and he told others, "I have done all that already. I will no longer allow anyone to manipulate my mind and control my life in the name of love." His arguments were quite logical, and he convinced many people by all his words love doesn't exist. And then one day, this man was walking in the park, and there on a bench was a beautiful lady who was crying. When he saw her crying, he felt curiosity. Sitting beside her, he asked if he could help her. He asked why she was crying. You can imagine his surprise when she told him she was crying because love didn't exist. And he said, "That is amazing. A woman who believes that love doesn't exist." Of course, he wanted to know more about her. "Why do you say that love doesn't exist?" he asked. "Well, it's a long story," she replied. "I married when I was very young, with all the love, all these illusions, full of hope that I would share my life with this man. We swore to each other our loyalty, respect and honour, and we created a family. But soon everything changed. I was the devoted wife who took care of the children and the home. My husband continued to develop his career, and his success and image outside of home was more important to him than our family. He lost respect for me and I lost respect for him. We hurt each other, and at a certain point I discovered I didn't love him and he didn't love me either. But the children needed a father, and that was my excuse to stay and to do whatever I could to support him. Now the children are grown and they have left. I no longer have any excuse to stay with him. There's no respect, there's no kindness. I know that even if I find someone else, it's going to be the same, because love doesn't exist. There is no sense to look around for something that doesn't exist. That is why I'm crying." Understanding her very well, He embraced her and said, "You are right, love doesn't exist. We look for love, we open our heart and we become vulnerable just to find selfishness. That hurts us even if we don't think we will be hurt. It doesn't matter how many relationships we have, the same thing happens again and again. Why even search for love any longer?" They were so much alike and they became the best friends ever. It was a wonderful relationship. They respected each other and they never put each other down. With every step they took together, they were happy. There was no envy or jealousy. There was no control. There was no possessiveness. The relationship kept growing and growing. They loved to be together because when they were together, they had a lot of fun. When they were not together, they missed each other. One day, when the man was out of town, he had the weirdest idea. He was thinking, maybe what I feel for her is love. But this is so different from what I have ever felt before. It's not what the poets say it is. It's not what religion says, because I am not responsible for her. I don't take anything from her. I don't have the need for her to take care of me. I don't need to blame her for my difficulties or to take my dramas to her. We have the best time together. We enjoy each other. I respect the way she thinks, the way she feels. She doesn't embarrass me. She doesn't bother me at all. I don't feel jealous when she's with other people. I don't feel envy when she is successful. Perhaps love does exist, but it's not what everyone thinks love is. He could hardly wait to go back home and talk to her, to let her know about his weird idea. As soon as he started talking, she said, "I know exactly what you are talking about. I had the same idea long ago, but I didn't want to share it with you because I know you don't believe in love. Perhaps love does exist, but it isn't what we thought it was." They decided to become lovers and to live together, and it was amazing that things didn't change. They still respected each other. They were still supportive of each other, and the love grew more and more. Even the simplest things made their hearts sing with love because they were so happy. The man's heart was so full with all the love he felt that one night a great miracle happened. He was looking at the stars, and he found the most beautiful one, and his love was so big that the star started coming down from the sky, and soon that star was in his hands. Then a second miracle happened, and his soul merged with that star. He was intensely happy, and he could hardly wait to go to the woman and put that star in her hands to provide his love to her. As soon as he put the star in her hands, she felt a moment of doubt. This love was overwhelming, and in that moment the star fell from her hands and broke in a million little pieces. Now there is an old man walking around the world swearing that love doesn't exist, and there is a beautiful old woman at home waiting for a man, shedding a tear for a paradise that once she had in her hands. But for one moment of doubt, she let it go. This is the story about the man who didn't believe in love. Yeah, I know. They were just saying in a lot of the meditations that we've been doing and all this stuff, everyone always says, let it go, let it go, let it go. But for our understanding, for our experiences in life that have mainly guided us through our body and the physical pain as it's been a teacher, but we're letting that go now because we don't need it as a teacher anymore. Letting it go. We're not letting it go. That's the language we use because that's what the language others use. But what we're doing is we're integrating all the bodies. So it's not about letting things go or holding on too tight. It's about finding the middle between the two and integration of different things and being open. That's what they were saying in that language. Who made the mistake? Do you want to guess what went wrong? The mistake was on the man's part in thinking he could give the woman his happiness. The star was his happiness, and his mistake was to put his happiness in her hands. Happiness never comes from outside of us. He was happy because of the love coming out of him. She was happy because of the love coming out of her. But as soon as he made her responsible for his happiness, she broke the star because she could not be responsible for his happiness. No matter how much the woman loved him, she could never make him happy because she could never know what he had in his mind. She could never know what his expectations were because she could not know his dreams. If you take your happiness and put it in someone's hands, sooner or later, she is going to break it. If you give your happiness to someone else, she can always take it away. Then, if happiness can only come from inside of you and is the result of your love, you are responsible for your happiness. We can never make anyone responsible for our own happiness. But when we go to the church to get married, the first thing we do is exchange rings. We put our star in each other's hands, expecting that she is going to make you happy and you are going to make her happy. It doesn't matter how much you love someone, you are never going to be what that person wants you to be. That is this mistake most of us make right from the beginning. We base our happiness on our partner, and it doesn't work that way. We make all those promises that we cannot keep, and we set ourselves up to fail. The track of love, the track of fear. Your whole life is nothing but a dream. You live in a fantasy where everything you know about yourself is only true for you. Your truth is not the truth for anyone else, and that includes your own children or your own parents. Just consider what you believe about yourself and what your mother believes about you. She can say she knows you very well, but she has no idea who you really are. You know that she doesn't. You can believe that you know your mother very well, but you don't have any idea who she really is. She has all those fantasies in her mind that she's never shared with anyone else, and you have no idea what is inside her mind. If you look at your own life and try to remember what you did when you were 11 or 12 years old, you will hardly remember more than 5% of your own life. Of course, you will remember the most important things, like your own name, because you repeat these all the time. But sometimes you forget the name of your own children or your friends. That's because your life is made by dreams, many little dreams that are changing all the time. Dreams have a tendency to dissolve, and that is why we forget so easily. Every human being has a personal dream of life, and that dream is completely different from anyone else's dream. We dream according to all the beliefs that we have, and we modify our dream according to the way we judge, according to the way we are victimized. That is why dreams are never the same for any two people. In a relationship, we can pretend to be the same, to think the same, to feel the same, to dream the same. But there is no way that that can happen. There are two dreamers with two dreams, and every dreamer is going to dream in his own way. That is why we need to accept the differences that exist between two dreamers. We need to respect each other's dream. We can have thousands of relationships at the same time, but every relationship is between two persons and no more than two. I have a relationship with each one of my friends, and it is just between two. I have a relationship with each one of my children, and each relationship is completely different from the others. According to the way the two people dream, they create the direction of what that dream we call relationship. Every relationship we have with mum, with dad, with brothers, with sisters, with friends is unique because we dream a small dream together. Every relationship becomes a living being made by two dreamers. Just as your body is made by cells, your dreams are made by emotions. There are two main sources of those emotions. One is fear, and all the emotions that come from fear. The other is love, and all the emotions that come from love. We experience both emotions, but the one that predominates in everyday people is fear. We can say that the normal kind of relationship in this world is based 95% on fear and 5% on love. Of course, this will change depending upon the people, but even if fear is 60% and love is 40%, still it is based on fear. In order to understand these emotions, we can describe certain characteristics about love and fear that I call the track of love and the track of fear. These two tracks are merely points of reference to see how we are living in our life. These divisions are for the logical mind to understand and to try to have some control over the choices we make. Let's look at some of the characteristics of love and of fear. Love has no obligations. Fear is full of obligations. In the track of fear, whatever we do is because we have to do it. And we expect other people to do something because they have to do it. We have the obligation, and as soon as we have to, we resist it. The more resistance we have, the more we suffer. Sooner or later, we try to escape our obligations. On the other hand, love has no resistance. Whatever we do is because we want to do it. It becomes a pleasure. It's like a game, and we have fun with it. Love has no expectations. Fear is full of expectations. With fear, we do things because we expect that we have to, and we expect that others are going to do the same. That is why fear hurts and love doesn't. We expect something, and if it doesn't happen, we feel hurt. It isn't fair. We blame others for not fulfilling our expectations. When we love, we don't have expectations. We do it because we want to. And if other people do it or not, it's because they want to or not. And it's nothing personal. When we don't expect something to happen, if nothing happens, it's not important. We don't feel hurt because whatever happens is okay. That is why hardly anything hurts when we are in love. We aren't expecting that our lover will do something, and we have no obligations. Love is based on respect. Fear doesn't respect anything, including itself. If I feel sorry for you, it means I don't respect you. You cannot make your own choices. When I have to make the choices for you, at that point I don't respect you. If I don't respect you, then I try to control you. Most of the time, when we tell our children how to live their lives, it's because we don't respect them. We feel sorry for them, and we try to do for them what they should do for themselves. When I don't respect myself, I feel sorry for myself. I feel I'm not good enough to make it in this world. How do you know when you don't respect yourself? When you say, "Poor me, I'm not strong enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I cannot make it." Self-pity comes from disrespect. Love is ruthless. It doesn't feel sorry for anyone, but it does not have compassion. Fear is full of pity. It feels sorry for everyone. You feel sorry for me when you don't respect me, when you don't think I am strong enough to make it. On the other hand, love respects. I love you. I know you can make it. I know you are strong enough, intelligent enough, good enough, that you can make your own choices. I don't have to make your choices for you. You can make it. If you fall, I can give you my hand. I can help you to stand up. I can say, you can do it. Go ahead. That is compassion, but it is not the same as feeling sorry. Compassion comes from respect and from love. Feeling sorry comes from a lack of respect and from fear. Love is completely responsible. Fear avoids responsibility. But this doesn't mean that it is not responsible. Trying to avoid responsibility is one of the biggest mistakes we can make because every action has a consequence. Everything we think, everything we do has a consequence. If we make a choice, we have an outcome or a reaction. If we don't make a choice, we have an outcome or a reaction. We are going to experience the consequence of our actions in one way or another. That is why every human is completely responsible for his actions, even if he doesn't want to be. Other people can try to pay for your mistakes, but you will pay for your mistakes anyway, and then you pay double. When others try to be responsible for you, it only creates a bigger drama. Love is always kind. Fear is always unkind. With fear, we are full of obligations, full of expectations, with no respect, avoiding responsibility, and feeling sorry. How can we feel good when we are suffering from so much fear? We feel victimized by everything. We feel angry or sad or jealous or betrayed. Anger is nothing but fear with a mask. Sadness is fear with a mask. Jealousy is fear with a mask. With all those emotions that come from fear and create suffering, we can only pretend to be kind. We are not kind because we don't feel good. We are not happy. If you are in the track of love, you have no obligations and no expectations. You don't feel sorry for yourself or for your partner. Everything is going well for you, and that is why that smile is always on your face. You are feeling good about yourself, and because you are happy, you are kind. Love is always kind, and that kindness makes you generous and open all the doors. Love is generous. Fear is selfish. It is only about me. Selfishness closes all the doors. Love is unconditional. Fear is full of conditions. In the track of fear, I love you if you let me control you. If you are good to me, if you fit into the image I make for you, I create an image of the way you should be, and because you are not and never will be the image, I judge you because of that and find you guilty. Many times I even feel ashamed of you because you are not what I want you to be. If you don't fit that image I create, you embarrass me, you annoy me. I have no patience at all with you. I am just pretending kindness. In the track of love, there is no if. There are no conditions. I love you for no reason, with no justification. I love you the way you are, and you are free to be the way you are. If I don't like the way you are, then I'd better be with someone who is the way I like her to be. We don't have the right to change anyone else. And no one else has the right to change us. If we are going to change, it is because we want to change, because we don't want to suffer any longer. Most people live their entire lives in the track of fear because they are in a relationship because they feel they're in a relationship because they feel they have to be. They're in a relationship where they have all those expectations about their partner and about themselves. All that drama and suffering is because we are using the channels of communication that existed before we were born. People judge and are victimized. They gossip about each other. They gossip with their friends. They gossip in a bar. They make their family members hate each other. They accumulate emotional poison and they send it to their children. Look at your father, what he did to me. Don't be like your father. All men are like this. All women are like that. This is what we do with the people we love so much, with our own children, with our own friends, with our partners. In the track of fear, we have so many conditions, expectations, and obligations that we create a lot of rules just to protect ourselves against emotional pain. When the truth is that there shouldn't be any rules, these rules affect the quality of the channels of communication between us. Because when we are afraid, we lie. If you have the expectation that I have to be a certain way, then I feel the obligation to be that way. The truth is, I am not what you want me to be. When I am honest and I am what I am, you are already hurt. You are mad. Then I lie to you because I'm afraid of your judgment. I'm afraid you are going to blame me, find me guilty and punish me. And every time you remember, you punish me again and again and again for the same mistake. In the track of love, there is justice. You make a mistake You pay only once for that mistake, and if you truly love yourself, you learn from that mistake. In the track of fear, there is no justice. You make yourself pay 1,000 times for the same mistake. You make your partner or your friend pay 1,000 times for the same mistake. This creates a sense of injustice and opens many emotional wounds. Then, of course, you set yourself up to fail. Humans have dramas for everything, even for something so simple and so little. We see these dramas in normal relationships in hell because couples are in the track of fear. In every relationship, there are two halves of that relationship. One half is you, and the other half is your son, your daughter, your father, your mother, your friend, your partner. Of those halves, you are only responsible for your half. You are not responsible for the other half. It doesn't matter how close you think you are or how strongly you think you love. There is no way you can be responsible for what is inside another person's head. You can never know what that person feels, what that person believes, all the assumptions she makes. You don't know anything about that person. That is the truth. But what do? We try to be responsible for the other half, and that is why relationships in hell are based on fear, drama, and in the war of control. If we are in a war of control, it is because we have no respect. The truth is that we don't love. It is selfishness, not love. It is just to have the little doses that makes us feel good. When we have no respect, there is a war of control because each person feels responsible for the other. I have to control you because I don't respect you. I have to be responsible for you because whatever happens to you is going to hurt me. And I want to avoid pain. Then, if I see that you are not being responsible, I am going to knock you all the time to try to make you be responsible, but responsible from my personal point of view. It doesn't mean that I am right. This is what happens when we come from the track of fear, because there is no respect. I act as though you are not good enough or intelligent enough to see what is good or not good for you. I make the assumption that you are not strong enough to go into certain situations and take care of yourself. I have to take control and say, let me do it for you, or don't do that. I try to suppress your half of the relationship and take control of the whole thing. If I take control of our whole relationship, where is your part? It doesn't work. With the other half, we can share, we can enjoy. We can create the most wonderful dream together. But the other half always has its own dream, its own will, and we can never control that dream, no matter how hard we try. Then we have a choice. We can create a conflict and a war of control, or we can become a playmate and a team player. Playmates and team players play together, but not against each other. If you are playing tennis, you have a partner, you are a team, and you never go against each other. Never. Even if you both play tennis differently, you have the same goal, to have fun together, to play together, to be playmates. If you have a partner who wants to control your game, and she says, no, don't play like that, play like this. No, you're doing it wrong. You are not going to have any fun. Eventually, you won't want to play with that partner anymore. Instead of being a team, your partner wants to control how you play. And without the concept of a team, you are always going to have a conflict. If you see your partnership, your romantic relationship as a team, everything will start to improve. In a relationship, as in a game, it's not about winning or losing. You are playing because you want to have fun. In the track of love, you are giving more than taking. And of course, you love yourself so much that you don't allow selfish people to take advantage of you. You are not going for revenge, but you are clear in your communication. You can say, I don't like it when you try to take advantage of me, when you disrespect me, when you are unkind to me. I don't need someone to abuse me verbally, emotionally, physically. I don't need to hear you cursing all the time. It's not that I'm better than you, it's because I love beauty. I love to laugh. I love to have fun. I love to love. It's not that I am selfish. I just don't need a big victim near me. It doesn't mean that I don't love you, but I cannot take responsibility for your dream. If you are in a relationship with me, it will be so hard for your parasite because I will not react to your garbage at all. This is not selfishness. This is self-love. Selfishness, control, and fear will break almost any relationship. Generosity, freedom, and love will create the most beautiful relationship and ongoing romance. To master a relationship is all about you. The first step is to become aware, to know that everyone dreams his own dream. Once you know this, you can be responsible for your half of the relationship, which is you. If you know that you are only responsible for half of the relationship, you can easily control your half. It is not up to us to control the other half. If we respect, we know that our partner or friend or son or mother is completely responsible for his or her own half. If we respect the other half, there is always going to be peace in that relationship. There is no war. Next, if you know what is love and what is fear, you become aware of the way you communicate your dream to others. The quality of your communication depends upon the choices you make in each moment, whether you tune your emotional body to love or to fear. If you catch yourself in the track of fear, just by having that awareness, you can shift your attention into the track of love. Just by seeing where you are, just by changing your attention, everything around you will change. Finally, if you are aware that no one else can make you happy and that happiness is the result of love coming out of you, this becomes the greatest mastery of the Toltecs, the mastery of love. We can talk about love and write 1,000 books about it, but love will be completely different for each of us because we have to experience love. Love is not about concepts. Love is about action. Love in action can only produce happiness. Fear in action can only produce suffering. The only way to master love is to practice love. You don't need to justify your love. You don't need to explain your love. You just need to practice your love. Practice creates the master. And then next is the perfect relationship chapter, chapter 5. Integrate the knowledge with sound. Well, I've done that a bit piercing too close to the microphone. We look forward to when we get that sorted. Integrate the knowledge of reading. Namaste.